We on? Hello? What the hell is taking so long? This is extremely weird. Alright, this is on. Hey, SJ Miley. Okay, SJS Miley, you're the first one here. Check, check. That is so messed up. That is the most messed up thing I've ever seen. Anyway. Okay. Okay. That is weird. Hey, Nerdine Residency. Audio check, mic check, check, check. Are we good? Are we good? Can you hear audio? How we're doing? Audio, video. Good. Loud and clear. All right. Hello, everyone. Yeah, well, look at this. Right on the dot, 4:30 Eastern Time. Hello. We are good. Welcome to another episode of Introduction to Security at Tufts University. I'm Ming Chow. Yeah. So, today's one of my favorite topics. Yeah, so last week we did packet analysis with Wireshark, and like every Thursday we try to do hands-on. Yeah. Hey, Shushai, how are ya? Hello. We try to make Thursdays not only fun but also hands-on as well too. And today's one of the most important skills um, for for cybersecurity. One of my favorites as well too. Um, because it's also been, one of the reasons why it's been in the movies quite a bit. So, one of the things that I have not mentioned yet in this course is is there a process of attacking systems? The same process can also be used for defenders as well too. And the answer is yes. One of my favorite pictures I like to show people this picture, and the motivation is this picture that I have for my course. It is a process to attack systems. Take a look at the blue arrows in this picture. Recon, weaponize, deliver, exploit, install, command, and act. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps in this whole process. This process is better known as a cyber kill chain. Yeah, it has a very military connotation. Yes, it was derived by the military, and also the company that actually derived this process, that's also known as a model, is Lockheed Martin. So the cyber kill chain is like what they call it a framework model for identifying and preventing cyber intrusion activities. So this model is used to both understand how an attacker works, and with that, can also defend against systems. The model identifies what the adversaries must complete in order to achieve their objective. 7 steps in the cyber kill chain. To enrich an analyst's understanding of an adversary's tactics, techniques, and procedures. Step number 1, by far and away, is reconnaissance, information gathering. Harvard's email addresses, conference information, you name it. Reconnaissance can be both low-tech or high-tech, or a combination of both. Doesn't matter. You just want to get as much information as possible about a target. Step 2 is weaponization, coupling exploit with backdoor into delivery payload. 3 is the delivery of delivering weaponized bundle to a victim by way of USB, email, or web, etc. It's like phishing. What's your method of delivery? Exploitation is step number 4, exploiting a vulnerability to execute code on a victim system. That will be the topic of conversation, I think, in 2 weeks. Vulnerabilities. Whole conversation of its own. Installation of malware on asset, which is step number 5. Installation. Step number 6 is command and control, also known as CNC or C2 more commonly. Command channel for remote manipulation of a victim. And number 7, last but not least, is with hands-on keyboard access, the intruders accomplish their original goals. So this model is both for attackers to get into the mindset of an attacker, but also that mindset, understanding that mindset is really important for defense as well. Today our main focus is going to be reconnaissance. We're going to spend our time on high-tech reconnaissance. We're going to have a target, okay? We're going to actually work with a couple of targets. But the one target that I will be using in this for today, the real target that I created, and the target is going to be 35.239.249.131. So the target that we're going to be trying to gather as much information about is 35.239.249.131. Okay? And that's going to be our target that we're going to use. We're going to try to get as much information about this target as possible. So what questions? So I'm going to have you chime in. So here's a target. It's an IP address. It's a real IP address. What questions do you have? Like, if you're going to be doing reconnaissance, what kind of questions do you want to be asking about? Like, what do you want to know about this target? Tell me, like, go ahead. Send something. What are the things that you want to know about this target? Given the IP address. Is there a domain? Okay. Is there a domain associated with this target? Okay, that's fine. Let's do that. What else? Ooh, I like that one. Computer type. Go deeper. Go deeper. Or go deeper. What do you mean by computer type? I like Rachel's one, location. Yeah, donde está? Is it a computer or is it no? What is it? Yeah, who? Basically, yeah, who, what, when, where, why. What does the system do? Okay, computer type, you can actually boil this into operating system. Okay. Contact info. Oh, I like that one. Let's do that one. Let's do that. Anything else? I can add one. How about software? Users on the system. What else? Man, what else can we actually add to this list? Man. Administrator. Yeah. What else? Ooh, that's a big one. Okay, we can stop here. That's a big one. So, okay, what we're going to do. So here's some of the question that you all raised. Is there a domain associated with this target? Is there a computer type of this thing? You can break that down by what's the operating system, what are ports and services open, what software installed on the system, who are the users on the system, like the administrator. I'm going to be very physical geolocation, actual location of this target. The computer is a computer autonomous machine. Like, what the hell does it do? Contact information. I also add another one. It's kind of like rudimentary, but it's important to understand, excuse me, the different types of tools that we're going to be using today. Is this computer even running? Yeah. Okay. Now here are your questions. Here are some of the guiding questions we're going to use. We're actually going to answer them all. So today, what we're going to do today is we're going to answer all these questions. Everything that you just typed into the chat. So the first one is contacting. Let's answer a few of them first. Let's answer a few of these questions right now. I think we're going to cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tools. The first tool that we're going to use is we're going to answer this question. Contact information. Who is the? We actually may what we're going to do is probably answer this question as well. Like, who's the administrator? All right, and maybe even partially physical and geolocation of this target. So let's answer some of that. Answer some of that. Some of those questions. The contact information of this target. Who's the administrator? And a tool to find that out. And I think that some of you have actually used a number of you have actually used this in the first lab of the course. Is whois. Man, whois. Whois the internet domain and a network number directory service. So whois it will provide you a lot of information about a particular IP address or a domain, including like domain ranges, headquarter information, you name it. Okay, so in this case, let's do this. Let's say whois, and what's the target? .35.239.249.131. Whois 35.239.249.131. Let's see what it returns. Boom. Lots of information. Lots of lots of email addresses, some IP addresses. Here we go. So now we just did whois and then the IP address 35.239.249.131. And it returned, okay, we have a list of IP addresses, all right, since 1994. Okay, so this was a Google Cloud. Okay, this looks like a Google Cloud instance. Organization is Google LLC. Registration date updated. All right, so this IP address is affiliated with Google. Or in this guy, really, more specifically, Google Cloud. Headquarter information for Google, Inc. Yeah. 1600 Amphitheater Parkway on Mountain View, well-known address. Contact, here's the phone number. Email address is, and that's it. That's all the information that's provided. Sometimes whois can provide coordinates and stuff, but by using whois, we can get some information, important information, like contact information, who is the administrator, and even physical. Even some information on physical geolocation of this target, to a degree. But if you're using Google Cloud, machine could be anywhere in the world. So, okay, we know that the headquarters is in Google, but where is this thing really? Is it in the East Coast? Is it in the Midwest? Is it on the West Coast? Is it in another country? We don't know. We'll come back to that, the physical/geolocation of this target in a bit. So whois will provide you a lot of contact information. It will provide you a lot of contact information, directory information. That's it. That's what whois does. It can provide, this information can be extremely valuable if you find an IP address or a domain that is like serving malware. And then you know who to contact if you find malware on a particular IP address. So this becomes important. So whois becomes important. But whois will not give you, actually, is there a domain associated with target? Yeah, actually it does. I mean, whois can provide domain. But it certainly does not provide information about the specific computer type, operating system, ports and services, software installed in the system, who the users on the system, what does the system do, or is this computer even up and running? Does not do that. Whois will not provide you any of that information, but it will provide you contact information. But that's important, especially if you find, like, if you're going to be a security analyst or a malware analyst and you find a system that's serving malware. That's not good. So we got whois. So whois can provide really good contact information, can provide good contact information, but it doesn't give you a lot of other information. Okay, so we got that. The next step is, let's answer this question. This one's important because if we can't answer this question, if a computer is not running, then there's not a whole heck of a lot we can actually do. If a computer is actually not running at the current moment, there's really no way that we can actually answer the questions, the important question like computer type, operating system, ports and services open, software installed in the system. So we have to answer this question: is the computer even up and running? And the tool you want to use for that, to check if a computer or a target is running, is ping. Man ping. Ping sends what is called an ICMP echo request packet to network host. What the heck is ICMP? Well, ICMP is the shorthand. Everyone knows ICMP as ping. Internet. Okay, so this is important to know. Oops. ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol, ICMP. ICMP is also commonly known as ping. It's a network layer protocol used by network devices that diagnose communication issues. Okay, this line is critical. This first line is extremely critical to know. It is a network layer protocol. Where is the network layer on the OSI model? If you remember the OSI model, I'm just gonna actually do a search. So where's the network layer? Let's use this one, layer 3. So layer 3, so ICMP, also known as people call it ping, lives on layer 3 of the OSI model. As I mentioned, I think it was like last week, is that the network layer, the only thing that is really interesting is the source and destination IP address. Okay? So ICMP is a network layer protocol used by network devices that diagnose network communications issue. That point is important because the network layer, okay, the only thing that is interesting in a network layer by way of the OSI model is things like the source and destination IP addresses. That's it. ICMP is mainly used to determine whether or not data is reaching its intended destination in a timely manner. That's it. So really what ICMP is used for? Diagnostic. Check if a computer is up or down. The whole idea of how ICMP works is like submarines and sonars. If a submarine wants to see if there's an object in front, if there's in front of the submarine, it will send a ping. Now, if a submarine sends a ping signal and get nothing back, there's nothing in front, clear sailing. But when the submarine sends a ping and then there is a pong sound wave coming back, something is up. Something is up in front. Okay? So, very important to know. Okay, very important to know. I'm going to clear the screen. So I'm going to do ping 35.239.249.131. Yeah. Can I hit enter? Ooh, interesting. Now this is good. 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 Now hit Control C to get out of ping, and you see 13 packets transmitted, 13 received, and no packet loss. What this means is if you're seeing something like this, that means the target 35.239.249.131 is up and running. It's alive. Now, very important warning here, a couple of extremely fine points. Ping is only going to return if packets have been transmitted successfully and received or packet loss. But ping will not give you things like port numbers. Why? OSI model. Okay? Ping and ICMP works on the network layer. The network layer have no knowledge or any concept of port numbers. That's the layer above. So ping will not give you anything with port numbers, data, anything. Again, ping does not return port numbers, or does not even have any idea on what the idea port numbers are. Okay? Because ping and ICMP are on the network layer. That's number one. Number two, very important point, is that a lot of systems, modern systems, have actually blocked ping. Why? A lot of systems have actually blocked ping because ping for years, for so many years, have been abused for things like denial of service, which will be discussed next week. Even if you're on Mac OS, if you're on Mac OS and you actually go to like your security settings and you go to firewall, I'm going to prove that on my watch. Hey, here we go. And you go to advanced. Oh, not this one. Oh, turn on firewall. There's a turn on firewall option. Firewall options. And you can actually say enable don't respond to things like ping. I'm going to turn off the firewall. Okay? Looks good. A lot of systems actually don't have turned off ping. So if I do ping 192.168.1.2, 1.12, I know that is an IP address that on my home network is not running. You'll get something like a request timeout. Again, a lot of systems now turn off ping by default. So that's a problem with ping. Another problem with ping is doesn't give you back port numbers or any other really important information, such as computer type, operating system, port number, services, software install use. Like it doesn't. So ping is only good for checking if a computer is up and running, but even sometimes it doesn't work, especially for a lot of modern systems. As we'll see next week, Smurf attack. Is this one? Yeah, lots of router systems actually turn it off by default. But we'll talk about that next week. Let's go back to this. All right, so now we check if a computer is up and running. We answer that question. Now, let's do something more interesting. What about, is there a way we can get port numbers open? The answer is yes. Now, one of my absolute favorite tools is called Netcat. What Netcat is, let's do it a Wikipedia page. Netcat, or usually NC for short, is also known as the Swiss Army knife of the internet, of computer networking. Netcat, often abbreviated as NC, is a Swiss Army knife for reading and writing network connections using TCP or UDP. Okay? Man, if you're on a lot of modern Linux systems, Unix systems, it's NC. Here it is. NC. Arbitrary TCP and UDP connections and listener. Okay? The Netcat utility is used for just about anything under the sun involving TCP or UDP. It can open up TCP connections and UDP packet, listen on arbitrary TCP port, UDP port scanning. Aha, that's what we want to do next. And deal with IPv4 and IPv6. Unlike Telnet, NC scripts nicely separates error messages and the standard errors, yada yada yada. Okay, Netcat actually also has an issue that Netcat actually behaves differently from system to system. So here I am on Kali Linux. If I do man NC, you know, even the man page is different. NC Netcat is the TCP IP Swiss Army knife. Netcat is a simple Unix utility that reads and writes data across network connection using TCP or UDP protocol. Okay, so Netcat, you can use Netcat to do anything, almost anything networking related, including browsing the web. Okay, so how does Netcat work? How Netcat works is, well, there is a great cheat sheet, SANS Institute NC Netcat. Cheat sheet. There it is. There's a great cheat sheet on using Netcat. Netcat. I'm gonna paste this and just everyone. Netcat. Well, by the way, before, what is the SANS Institute? The SANS Institute offers world-class cybersecurity trainings, boot camp. I'm an alum of the SANS Institute. I went through them back in 2007, and I still follow them a lot. Netcat, the cheat sheet looks like the following. Here's a direct link to the cheat sheet. Will you be using Netcat in this course? Netcat is really easy to use. All you need to do is Netcat, NC, here it is, under fundamentals. NC, target IP address, port. That's it. NC, IP followed by a space, followed by an IP address, target IP address, space, followed by a port number. And I will check if the port is up and running or not. Not bad. Okay. You can use Netcat to do file transfer, banner grabbing, backdoor shells, Netcat relays on Linux. How about this one? Port scanner. We'll clear the screen. All right, give me a port number. Give me a good port number. Let's see if a port is running. Go for it. Give me a port number. Oh, let's start with control by. Let's do 443. That's an interesting one. All right, let's start with 443, and then we'll do 80. So how you do Netcat is, okay, NC 35.239.249.131, and then let's try 443. Let's see what the result is. Bah, we got nothing. What about we try to do this on Kali Linux? What's the behavior? Connection refused. All right. So 443 sounds like looks like it's not working. Let's try 80. Ready? What's actually happening is something's going on. It's actually waiting for a command or something else. Not bad. I have to type something. Not bad. All right, something's happening on 80. Let's try 22. Ooh, looks like something is there. Ooh, I got a response back. Yep, same, okay, consistent results so far. All right, Try 42. The fuck? The hell is 42? Hello? I don't know. Interesting. 7777. Nothing. Alright. Alright. So we can keep playing this game. We can do 666. Okay, we can stop playing this game with the million monkey approach, which is actually just try every single number. Okay, we can do NC target IP address, in this case 35.239.249.131 space, and we can just try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, is there a way we can do this in a loop or in one line? Yeah, well, let's take a look at the cheat sheet. So what we got here? How to do a TCP port scan with Netcat. NC minus V for verbose, minus N for not resolving domain name, minus space minus Z for without sending any data, okay, and minus W1 for waiting no more than 1 second for a connection to occur. Okay, this could be pretty interesting. And the target IP address is 35.239.249.131. The target IP address, start port, let's start at 10. And end port, let's do 1,000. Alright, let's see what happens. This may not work on Mac, so that's why I pulled it up in on Linux land. Here we go. Alright, this is going slow at hell. Alright, this is going slow. What Netcat will do, it will actually show you if the port number is open or not. Okay, so it gets that. But it also will actually, okay, so somewhat done. Somewhat. But it's awful, but now, as you notice with Netcat, it can be pretty damn slow. Netcat, however, unfortunately, may or may not bring back things like computer type operating system, software installed on this system, and even users. So Netcat works, but it's slow. Can we do better? And the answer is yes, and we're going to focus a lot today on this tool. One of my absolute favorite. When I actually install and create systems, this is the first tool I actually install. And it's called a network mapper. Nmap. Nmap.org. The network mapper. Yeah, it's written by Fyodor Gordon Leon. My friend Gordon Leon wrote this many years ago. The network mapper, also known as Nmap. Nmap is free and open source utility for network discovery, security auditing. So Nmap can be used for both good and bad. System administrators love to use tools like Nmap. This is how system administrators back in the days, if you want to catch someone sharing, catch like people like doing file sharing illegally on a computer network, like at an institution, system administrators will just run Nmap across the entire domain name. Yeah. Many system administrators also find it useful for tasks such as inventory, network inventory, managing service upgrade schedule, and monitoring host or service uptime. Nmap uses raw IP packets in novel ways to determine what hosts are available on a network, what services, application names, and version of those hosts are operating, what operating system version, exactly what we're looking for here, what operating system and OS version they're running, what type of packet filters / firewalls are in use, and a dozen other characteristics. It's designed to rapidly scan large networks, but work fine against single hosts as well too. Nmap is platform independent. If you're on Windows land, you actually even have like a nice graphical interface. Of course, if you actually are familiar with movie, if you're a movie fanatic, Nmap was in a whole bunch of movies. One of the most famous ones that was Matrix Reloaded. Nmap was used in Matrix Reloaded, Ocean 8, Snowden, Dread, Asylum, Fantastic Four, Who Am I, Born Ultimatum, yep, Die Hard 4, Girl to Dragon Tattoo. Yeah, I'm on Mac OS, not Windows. G.I. Joe Retaliation, The Listening, Doom, whole list of things. Now, if I actually go back to my Mac, how I install Nmap on Mac is I use Homebrew to install Nmap. Best way to install software, one of the best ways to install software on a Mac OS. Any tool that you want, use Homebrew. I already have Nmap installed. Man, Nmap. Nmap! Here it is, the network exploration tool and security / port scanner. Nmap is an open source tool for network exploration and security auditing. It's designed to rapidly scan large networks. Well, I just read that in the documentation. Nmap.org. And we're going to refer to the manual a bit today. And now the documentation for Nmap is actually pretty extensive. There's a lot of flags and options in Nmap. It's not just a simple, okay, one input and one output thing. There's a lot of options in Nmap. Lots and lots of options for Nmap. It's a pretty long and deep manual here. It's a pretty long manual. If you actually just run Nmap, what you're going to get, boom, man Nmap on Mac OS. Oh, I'm going to clear the screen, Nmap. There it is. Nmap, running it by itself, will actually give you this long cheat sheet. What all the options and flag means, possibilities. Oh, here we go, enable OS detection. Clear. So, on the most rudimentary level, all you need to do to use Nmap is Nmap and the target IP. Let's see which one wins. It depends, because the networking hardware actually gets interesting. So I'm going to do it both on my Mac and on the Kali virtual machine that I got running. Oh, hey. Kali wins in this case. There it is, folks. There it is. Why did Kali Linux Nmap win? I don't know. So here's the results. There it is. Here is your, oh, there it is. The Mac OS is done. Here's a warning for you. Depending on operating system and, okay, here's an important warning. Depending on operating system that you're on, and depending on your networking hardware that you're on, time is going to be different, and even sometimes the results could be different. But they shouldn't stray too far. They shouldn't stray too far. This one took the Kali Linux took 4.63 seconds. On Mac OS land, it took 43 seconds. It depends on what networking hardware you're using. I'm using a USB adapter here for my Mac. It depends. So your results could be different sometimes, but they shouldn't. But in terms of the most important content, the open ports and the services, that shouldn't stray too far as they're different. Here in this case, both Kali Linux on my Mac and on my Nmap on Kali Linux and on my Mac OS produces pretty similar, actually the same results. Not shown 996 filtered TCP ports, no response. I mean, we don't care about them. So here we are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 ports listed. 2 of them are open, 2 of them are closed. We have port 22 that is open, port 80 that is open, 443 is closed, port 3389 is closed. Yeah, my Ethernet, I'm using Ethernet, is by way of USB. Okay. By default on Kali Linux, it should be installed. It's one of the most important tools. Yeah. Sudo apt install nmap. Alright. So, here we are. We have 2 ports that are open, 2 ports that are closed, and the corresponding service. Port 22 is SSH, port 80 is HTTP, port 443 is HTTPS, port 3389 is, I don't know what this is, closed. The most important ones that we have to care about are the ones that are open, the ones that are publicly available. Let's look at the documentation. What does open and close means? The documentation reads, port scanning basics. Here are your port scanning basics. Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, but the most important ones that we care about are the open ones. The 6 port states recognized by Nmap. The first one is open. An application is actively accepting TCP connections. This one's straightforward. UDP datagram, SCTP association on this port. Finding these is often the primary goal of a port scanning. Security-minded people know that each open port is an avenue for attack. Okay, we got that. A closed port is accessible, but there is no application listening onto it. They can be helpful in showing that a host is up on an IP address and as part of OS detection. Because closed ports are reachable, it may be worth scanning later on or something like that. You know, we don't care. But the one that we really care about is open ports. Filtered, unfiltered, open filtered. Filtered means Nmap cannot determine what the port is open because a packet filtering is prevents its probe from reaching the port. Okay. All right. That's it. At the most rudimentary level, it's just Nmap space target IP address. That's it. And the only one that you really care, we only care about is the open one, really. Okay? So, alright, this is fun. But how does operating system detection work? Okay? So, if you want to get more information, okay, this is nice. Remember this documentation, but we want this. We want operating system, software installed on the system, what does the system do? Okay, we can answer this one. Somewhat done. Alright, let me ask you this question. You know that this target at the IP address 35.239.249.131 is up and running, and it has port 80 open, HTTP. What do you think the next thing you want to try is? Now, given this information, you know what ports are open, 22 and 80. What do you do if you're an attacker? If you're an attacker, yeah, go, okay, this one's easy. Yeah, as Snooze Account said, go there on a web browser. We know this is HTTP, so I'm going to open up a new tab, and HTTP colon / the IP address, and that's it. Ready? Boom. There we go. You got a website. That's your website. Yay! So we can confirm port 80 is open by way of HTTP, and then given that information, we can just, well, go to a web browser and go type in http:// the target IP address, and we got a web page. It's no different for SSH2. If you actually see that SSH is open, all you need to do is SSH some username at the IP address and hit enter. But that's okay. But now you know what to do when you see open ports. Okay? Now we answer this question. What does the system do? Yeah, there's a web server and an SSH server. We got two services running. Now what about operating systems and software installed on the system, like version numbers? Clear the screen. What you do with Nmap. Well, let's do the manual again. Here it is. Minus capital A, to enable OS and version detection, script scanning, and trace route. Okay, that sounds like what we want to use. Minus T4 for faster execution in the host name. Let's try that. Okay, I actually don't use minus T4, but let's do it anyway. Nmap minus A minus T4 35.239.249.131. Oh, shoot. Blue cow dot, the difference between open and port, I just sent the documentation. Port scanning basics. Open, an application is actively accepting TCP connections. That's the important one. A closed port is accessible, but there's no application running on it. In other words, don't worry about it. See the manual. There it is. Blue cow dog. There you go. Okay, this could take a while. Oh, no. This one got quick. Oh, hey. All right. Here we go. That was quicker than I thought. Now, you see, now we got more information. We got the port numbers, we see state, we see service, but now we see version. We see the software version as a Debian 10. The web server is running Nginx 1.14.2. You even see the HTTP title, Wang Computers. Okay. And here it is, operating system. Looks like some Linux kernel. There you go. Not bad. Not bad at all. Pretty good. What this means? Done. Well, we got that. We got it all. Now we're kind of done. Nah, it's a web server. We got that done. So we answered almost all the questions. Almost all. Okay, not bad. Well, I want to scan. I want to see how long it takes to scan one of my my router at home. Nmap minus A minus T4 192.168.1.1. What's my router gonna spread? I don't know what the hell it is, but I'll still do it anyway. So as we can see, Nmap actually now produces things like software version, even operating system version. By the way, very important, operating system detection version. How it works? Heuristics, guesstimation. So it may not be 100%. Keep that in mind. All right. So now we got a lot of information back from Nmap. Port number, service, and even version. But can someone actually tell me why is version number so important? Why would a security researcher be so interested in software versions? Anyone want to chime in? Wang computers. Yeah. Wang computers. Good old Wang computers based in 128. There it is. So, yeah, I mean, the whole why software version numbers are very important is if there's an old software version, there probably some vulnerabilities exist. That's it. Old version of software, there's probably some vulnerabilities exist. What are the vulnerabilities? Well, you can consult with your favorite search engine for to find vulnerabilities. Mr. Toph, where would you find documentation of these vulnerabilities? Well, this will be the topic of conversation in 2 weeks. Where? One place is just do something called Google is your friend. Vulnerability. No, but we get better. Okay, so far none, knock on wood. But you know that numbers are going to be greater than 0 eventually. When we talk about vulnerabilities in 2 weeks, we'll talk about what CVEs are and what CWEs are. Yeah, I don't want to overload you with information, but definitely CVEs and CWEs in 2 weeks. What are they? Yeah. Vulnerabilities. But the important point is software versions and version numbers are important to identify any possible vulnerabilities with that software that is being run on the target. And if there is a vulnerability, you can take advantage of it. So here we are. That's Nmap. This thing is still taking a long time for my router. Alright. But whoa, we're not done. We're not done yet. So the next thing is, yeah, we're using tools. We're using Nmap here. But what's important to talk about next is you have to understand how Nmap actually works. Because if you don't understand how security tools for the fundamental, how security tools actually work, or you don't understand the basic, you're just a script kiddie. And that's a derogatory term for someone who is just a poser. So does anyone want to take a wild guess how, by default, Nmap works? I'll show you this documentation. Port scanning techniques. This is an important line. I love this paragraph. And as a novice performing automotive repair, I can struggle for hours trying to find my rudimentary tool, hammer, duct tape, wrench, etc., to task at hand. When I fail miserably and tow my jalopy to a real mechanic, he invariably fishes around in a huge tool chest until pulling out the perfect gizmo, for which makes the job seamlessly effortless. The art of port scanning is similar. Experts using dozens of scanning techniques and choosing the appropriate one or combination for a given task. Inexperienced users, or script kiddies on the other hand, try to solve every problem with the default Sync Scan. So that's how we know Nmap actually, how Nmap works. By default, Nmap uses a TCP SYN Sync Scan. Since Nmap is free, the only barrier to port scanning is mastery of knowledge. It certainly beats the automotive world where you take great skill to determine that you need to strut spring, yada, pay $1,000 for it. Okay, so now you know by how Nmap works by default. TCP Sync Scan. Okay, here it is. By default, TCP Sync Scan. The Sync Scan is default and most popular scan for good reasons. It can be performed quickly, scanning thousands of ports per second on a fast network not hampered by restricted firewalls. It is also relatively unobtrusive and stealthy, since it never completes the TCP connections. Sync Scan only works against any TCP compliant stack rather than depending on the idiosyncrasies of specific platforms such as Nmap, Fin, Null, and Christmas tree scans. So wait a minute. So remember the TCP three-way handshake? Sync, sync, and ACK? How TCP Sync Scan works, it just sends a sync. And if the response that you get back from the target is hello, you know that someone is calling. You know someone is there. Something is there. Think about it. How TCP Sync Scan works is you dial ring ring, and then the other line will say hello. If you hear a hello, that means port is open, service is open. But what's the problem? The problem with that is if you are running against any, if you're doing a TCP Sync Scan against a large network and the network is like has administrators and stuff, you know that there's some recording of traffic going on behind the scene. So now your problem is there a way that we can even be more under the radar, even more stealthier? Let's talk about what this is. Specific platforms such as Nmap, Fin, Null, and Christmas tree scans. Okay? What are they? Let's go back down to the bottom of the documentation. This is extremely important to know. Now, by default, you know now Nmap works by way of TCP Sync Scan. But you know that there are problems sometimes with you just using sync. Is there a way that we can be under the radar, even more stealthier? Let's talk about what these are. TCP Null, Fin, and Christmas tree scans. TCP Null, Null and Fin are both possible Nmap flags, TCP flags. Okay, what these scans are, TCP Null, Fin, and Christmas tree, these three scan types exploit a subtle loophole in the TCP RFC to differentiate between open and closed ports. This line, page 65 of RFC 793 says, if the destination port state is closed, an incoming segment not containing RST causes an RST to be sent in the response. And then the next page has got the packet sent to open ports without the sync RST or ACK bits state that you are unlikely to get there, but if you do, drop the segment and return. Interesting. Very interesting. So that means if you actually send a packet containing if you send a packet that does not contain sync, RST, or ACK, but you send something like Fin, you only send a TCP Fin packet to a target at a certain port number. And if you actually get a response back in the form of ACK, that means, hey, get out of here. That means there's nothing there. But if the target actually does not send you back anything, there may be something there. Okay? So, let's do a null scan. Let's take a look at the null scan. Let's do that out. This thing up? Wow, it's still not up. Actually, you know what? In order to do a TCP null scan, you have to do sudo nmap. You have to be sudo here. You have to be root. Does it say that here? It should say something about these scans have to be root. Is it? Doesn't say. Most of these scan types are available to privileged users. That is because they send and receive raw packet, which requires root access on Unix systems. Okay? But I'm just saying, I'm not sure if this is going to work on this target. I mean, I can try it. minus SN for no scan target. Let's see. I don't know if this is going to work. It'll be nice. I don't think it may or may not return anything. But that's okay. Because we got the packets. Because PCAPs didn't happen. Yep. Let's look at no scan, the PCAP file. This is where we have to go back and open up Wireshark. So this is a PCAP set for no scan. Here we are. It's an no-scan PCAP. And where the hell are we? Boom, here we are. Target is 192.168.1.215. Look at packet number 77. The client is 192.168.1.218. Here is an example packet with no TCP flag set. Also, of course, that's what you call a no scan. No scan sends a packet with no TCP flag set. You see, none. And you can see that in response, 192 to target 192.168.1.215 sent back to the client 192.168.1.218 at port 143. Get out of here, RST. And you can see this. Hey, is 993 open? Port 993 open on this thing? No TCP. RST act. No, get out of here. All right, how about port 5900? No, get out of here. 554? No, get out of here. But when the thing get real interesting is here. Hey, target 192.168.1.218. I mean, yeah, no, target 192.168.1.215. Hey, port 80, you open? No response. No response. Hey, target 192.168.1.215, port 22, SSH. Is that available? You don't get an RST ACK back. Now you can make an assumption that it's up and running. Yeah, it does. Sometimes it doesn't work on live systems, so this one bonkers. Okay. Okay, what about fin scan? How does a fin scan look like? Did I make that one available too? Fin scan. All right, let's see how that looks like. The biggest difference now is going to be packets that are sent from Nmap. Packets are going to be sent by Nmap with just one flag, FIN. There you go. Hey, target 192.168.1.215, port 199. Hey, I'm going to send you a fin packet. Yup. You got to respond. Nah, get out of here, RST. How about port 80? Hey, port 80 at 192.168.1.215. I'm going to send you a fin packet. Up? No response. Probably up. Same idea. Hey, target 192.168.1.215, port 22. You open on it? Fin? You don't receive an RST packet, probably up and running. But my all-time favorite, my absolute favorite, is called a Christmas tree scan. The Christmas tree scan. Here it is. What no scan is, no scan just set the TCP flag header as 0. Fin scan, it just set the TCP fin bit, what we just saw. Here. This is a fin scan. You can see all fin packet. Fin, 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 fin. What about a Christmas tree scan? Set the fin, push, and urge flag. They're lighting the packet up like a Christmas tree. How does that look like? One of my favorite Christmas tree packet. Christmas tree scans. What is it? There it is. Christmas tree. There we go. Same idea target, same target, 192.168.1.215. There it is, you can see a packet. Fin, push, urge. Hey, 192.168.1.215, port 22. Christmas tree packet, fin, push, urge. You up? You don't receive an answer. Hey, port 111 at 192.168.1.215. Fin, push, urge, Christmas tree packet. You got anything? Well, actually, you do get a response, an RST packet. Hey, get out of here. No peeking. There we go. Port 80. Hey, port 80 at 192.168.1.215. You up and running? Fin pusher. You don't get a response back. Well, those are the fin, no, and Christmas tree scans. They're stealthy. Because they actually go out of whack. They don't send sync or ACK. They don't use sync or ACK packet, but they do exploit a loophole in RFC 793. Okay. All right, I'm going to come back to this. I do want to show one more Nmap scan. But before I do that, I also want to introduce everyone. I don't think I usually do this on the air. I just want to bring this in passing. It's the world's most dangerous search engine. CNN did an article about this in 2013. Shodan, the scariest search engine on the internet. When you don't see stuff on Google, they think that no one can find it. That is not true. Shodan.io. What Shodan.io is. Want to give a shout out to John Matherby, creator and author of Shodan. First learned about this in 2008 at DEF CON. Of course, it took 5 years, 4 or 5 years for the general public to finally catch up. What Shodan is a search engine for the Internet of Everything. What you can do with Shodan is you can find anything including IP address, monitor network exposure. So if you have an account, and yes, if you actually have a .edu account with Shodan, you can you get an account for free. It's really, really awesome. So if I want to do a search for, let's say, let's say, can I search my target here? No, not found. Oh, damn. Can I do host and an IP address? Oh, really? Or is that host or is it IP? Oh, no, nothing. Or you can just do like tufts.edu. Yeah, you can see 5 results from tufts.edu. So one thing that's really nice about Nmap, one thing that's really nice about Shodan already basically what Shodan, how it works under the hood, it just does a glorious port scan on the whole internet. So if you want to get more, okay, here it is. If you want to see all the tufts.edu stuff that is exposed to the internet, the public the internet, here you go. You search a domain, you can search anything that you domain, IP address that you want. Click on the result. You can see a geographical map. You can see open ports. You can see the services that are open, web technology stack. Sometimes you can even see vulnerabilities. You want to see all the list of open computers in the world that is available for the taking is images.shodan.io. I think you have to log in for this one. Yep, you have to log in. Timeout. Timeout. You log in. You go to images.showdan.io. You can see all the stuff exposed to the internet. Windows logins, webcams, remote desktop, users. I mean, yeah, that answers that question. It answers the question of users on the system. Yeah, done. Yeah, we're done with this one as well. Look at how many webcams and stuff out. Yeah, oh my god, indeed. Webcams. Hell, if you're logged in, which is really nice, you can see all the even critical infrastructure. Holy shit, we've seen a couple of critical infrastructure. Then I go back to Shodan. And I go to explore. You can explore by like webcam, netcam, default username, password, safe road, sign messages. Okay, you can even search for critical infrastructure exposed, pie holes. Love pie hole. Lots of stuff. But if you, again, oops, sorry, that's okay. That's okay. Yep. API keys. Yeah, you can use a command line version as well. Lots exposed. If you have a .edu account, you can get a free account. You don't have to pay $50 a year as I did. $50 for it was a $50 one-shot deal I did. If you have an EDU account, you can get an account for free. Enjoy. On the third lab in the course, there is a question that actually the last two questions require the use of using Shodan. And Shodan is quite often used in reference nowadays in a lot of white papers and documentation. Yeah. I want to do one more. I want to go back for a second. I want to close today. I want to end today. I'm going to shut my virtual machine down. I don't need this. I don't need this anymore. But I want to talk about one also type of scan here. Not here. It's called a decoy scan. Nmap will also have, where is it? I know it's here. Let me do a search for it. nmap.org, decoy scan. Boom. There we go. I'm going to end today with this. Firewall and IDS invasion and spoofing. There's a very special type of scan in Nmap. And there's a reason why I want to end today with this one. It's called a decoy scan. So when you're scanning, when you're scanning a target using Nmap, okay? And you're going to be throwing like hundreds and thousands of packets. For the target on the other side, it could be really easy to identify who's running the Nmap scan against you. I mean, it's just going to show. I mean, if you look back at Wireshark, if you go back at Wireshark, let's open up the fin scan again. I mean, here, so this one's pretty easy. I mean, we know that 192.168.1.218 is the one that's running an Nmap scan against 192.168.1.215. We know that. But what happens if you want to make it much more difficult for the target to identify who's really scanning you? You want to make it much more difficult for the attacker to say, okay, who's really running the scan against you. And this is where you might want to use a decoy scan. A decoy scan is like a shell game. You remember those? Like, okay, which okay, here 3 cups. I'm gonna scramble them. Which one does which cup actually has the ball? That's what a decoy scan is. Okay, a decoy scan is actually is, also add in other real live IP addresses. So here's the documentation. How a decoy scan looks like is something like, I'll open up a new tab. Sudo Nmap minus, is this lowercase, uppercase D, 192.168.1.1, comma, like, and a whole bunch of IP address separated by a comma. But important key is that these IP addresses have to be up and running, live IP addresses, not dead or not running IP address. Like the IP addresses that you specify in a decoy and then you do 35.239.249.131. So you just have minus capital D for decoy scan option, and then your list of live IP addresses separated by a comma, and then you have 35.239 your target. In this case, 35.239.249.131. What the target will see on Wireshark, if it is recording packets, is you're going to be seeing traffic from 192.168.1.1, whatever the other decoy is and whatever the other decoy scan is. What if you scan it to a VPN? Yeah, that actually also works. Okay, but if you really want to make things really confusing, IDABI, ideally you want to run scan by way of a VPN anyway. But if you want to make stuff really confusing for the victim, you just set a shell. You play a shell game. Just run a list of IP addresses separate, but important. Here it is. Here's the whole point of a decoy scan, but it also leaves an important caveat if you get this one wrong. Thus, the victim, IDS, intrusion detection system, may report 5 to 10 port scan from unique IP addresses, but they won't know which IP was scanning them and which were the innocent decoys. While this can be defeated through router path tracing, response dropping, and other mechanism, it is generally an effective technique for hiding your IP address. Do ISPs not block these types of scans of packet from a source? And the answer is unfortunately no. That's a great control byte. That is a fantastic question, because here's the reason. Problem is, port scans can be used for both good and bad. So if you start censoring and dropping these packets, then you lead to a bigger problem. Okay? Also, the other problem is, people are doing port scans on the internet all the time, for good and bad. So control byte, does that answer your question? The problem is, port scanning can be used for good and bad. They won't know if this was actual. It's too hard to determine what is legitimate and what is illegitimate port scanning. People do this all the time. Now, here is the important caveat. Note that the host you specify as decoys should be up and running, or else you may actually sync flood your targets. Also, it will be pretty easy to determine which host is scanning if only one is actually up on the network. Again, you don't want to take down your target. You don't want to take down your target. You want to gather. The whole point of reconnaissance is reconnaissance. The whole point of reconnaissance is get as much information about the target. You don't want to kill your target. And the reason why I actually stop here, I'm going to stop at the decoy scan, is for this reason. Now, this is a good transition onto probably one of the most well-known and most sinister attack that still goes on every day. You don't want to bring down your target, but people do this all the time. Does anyone know what bringing down a target is called? Bringing down your victim? Better known as sync flood is a type of this. Someone. There you go. Distributed denial of service. The whole point is you don't want to kill your target. You want to make sure you get as much information, but don't kill your target. Don't bring it down. And this transitions into the next week. We're going to talk about distributed denial of service attacks. See ya.